She sent me a selfie with her client captioned, "Leveled up." I didn't reply, just sent the screenshot to her parents and the venue we'd booked for our wedding. Her entire family is flooding my phone, but I'm busy canceling vendors and unbooking my future. People always talk about how they just knew when they met the right person. I used to think that was corny until I met Kara. My name is Neil. I'm 33 years old, a civil engineer in Asheville, North Carolina. 3 months away from what was supposed to be my wedding day, and now I'm just sitting here, staring at the pieces. Back then, which wasn't that long ago, life made sense. I had a job I liked, a fiancé I loved, and a clear plan: get married in September, honeymoon in Oregon, buy a fixer-upper just outside the city. Kara and I had everything locked down. The venue, the band, the photographer, the registry, all of it paid and confirmed. We'd been engaged for 6 months. I proposed on a hike up Craggy Pinnacle, her favorite spot. She cried, said yes, and we celebrated with warm beer and granola bars at the summit. That moment felt real, the kind of real that sinks into your chest and tells you you're doing something right. Kara worked as a marketing coordinator for a rising eco-travel influencer. I used to think it sounded glamorous, working with brands, traveling, curating content. Most days she was glued to her phone, flipping between Instagram stories and spreadsheets. She always said it was part of the job, that keeping up with trends meant staying visible, staying stylish. It made sense. At least, it did back then. We met at a local charity gala. She was organizing the silent auction. I was there with my company, donating a design package for a green stormwater system. Somehow we ended up talking about fish tacos and 90s rom-coms. By the end of the night, I'd gotten her number, and by the end of the week, we were inseparable. For the first year, we barely argued. When we disagreed, we actually talked things through. No yelling, no cold shoulders. We cooked dinner together most nights. She had this habit of dancing while she chopped onions, barefoot in the kitchen, humming to old Mariah Carey songs. I used to love that. But about a month ago, something shifted. It started when Kara signed a new client, a guy named Leo. I remember the way she said his name the first time. Leo Montgomery, she told me over dinner. You've probably seen him online. He's that outdoor guy, the one who scaled those cliffs in Costa Rica with no rope? Like a modern Tarzan, but with a skincare line. I laughed. She didn't. He's actually super smart, she added, spearing a piece of asparagus. And the brand wants me to take lead on his whole eco campaign. That was the first time I saw her eyes light up about work in a long time. She got home later that night than usual, said she had to prep for a pitch meeting. Then it became a pattern. Late nights, early mornings, sudden weekend shoots that popped up without warning. Leo needed a last-minute brand reel in the Smokies. Leo invited the team to scout an off-grid resort in Tennessee. Leo. At first, I didn't think much of it. Work is work, right? Especially in creative industries. I chalked it up to hustle. But after a while, I noticed other things. Her outfits changed. She started wearing these sleek, outdoorsy clothes, form-fitting leggings, trail boots with no mud on them, cropped vests that looked more magazine than mountain. She started doing her hair before hikes. She posted more, not just brand content, but personal stuff. Behind-the-scenes selfies with Leo, boomerangs of champagne toasts and tints, blurry shots of her laughing at something he'd said. I started to wonder when she had time to laugh like that with me. One Friday night, she said she was crashing at Sasha's after a long day filming in the woods. Sasha's her best friend, been close since college. So I texted Sasha the next day just to say thanks for looking out for Kara. Sasha replied 10 minutes later, "Wait, what? I haven't seen her in weeks. Thought she was with you." I didn't respond right away. Just sat there on the edge of the bed, rereading that message while Kara's untouched pillow stared up at me. I wanted to believe it was all a misunderstanding. I wanted to believe the woman I was building a life with wouldn't lie to my face about where she slept. But in that moment, for the first time since I met Kara, I wasn't sure I knew her at all. The next couple of weeks were weird. I didn't want to start a fight over one text message, but it ate at me. Every time Kara walked through the door, phone in hand, laughing at something on her screen, I wondered if she was still lying to me. I asked about it a few days later, casually, like I was just checking in. "Hey, by the way," I said as she was putting her boots on. Sasha texted me. She said she hadn't seen you in a while. Kara looked up, her expression frozen just long enough for me to notice. "Oh," she said, brushing a piece of hair behind her ear. Yeah, I didn't actually end up staying at her place that night. We all crashed at Leo's Airbnb after the shoot went long. She said it so matter-of-factly, like there was nothing weird about we all sleeping at her client's rental. "Why didn't you just say that?" She shrugged. "I figured it'd be easier than explaining the whole thing. You seemed tired, and I didn't want to get into it." I didn't say anything. I just nodded and went back to chopping vegetables for dinner. My hands were steady, but my stomach was not. From then on, things only got more off. Her schedule became unpredictable. Not in the normal way. There'd be days where she'd be out of reach for hours, her phone going straight to voicemail. Other nights, she'd come home wired, talking a mile a minute about drone footage, influencer dinners, and vibe alignment. That's what she kept calling it, the vibe. "I'm trying to match Leo's energy," she said one night, peeling off a windbreaker that probably cost more than my monthly gym membership. "It's part of the brand voice. Immersive storytelling." "What does that mean?" "Exactly?" I asked. She rolled her eyes, only half joking. It means I need to live the brand to market it. It's not just about captions anymore. It's about being the lifestyle. She started dressing differently too. The conservative sundresses and sandals she used to wear were replaced by high-end activewear, stuff you'd see in ads for mountain gear or Coachella-ready camping trips. Suddenly, she was all about functional aesthetics, hiking boots with color-match laces, leggings with hidden pockets, $60 water bottles. Her hair was always done, her nails always freshly painted, even after a weekend in the woods. One Sunday morning, I woke up to find her in the living room, packing a small duffel with GoPro mounts, dry shampoo, and a woven hammock. "Where are you going?" I asked, still rubbing sleep out of my eyes. She looked over her shoulder like it was obvious. "I told you, Leo's got this sponsored retreat thing. We're filming up near Hot Springs for the week." "Week?" I repeated. "You didn't mention a full week." "Yes, I did," she said, already annoyed. "You just weren't listening. It's all part of the campaign launch." She kissed my cheek and left before I could respond. The silence in the apartment afterward was deafening. The thing that killed me wasn't that she was working. It was how easily she disappeared from our life together. No notes. No photos of us on her feed. No text during the day saying she missed me. She used to send me selfies from lunch breaks, goofy updates from shoots, late night, "I love you." Now all I saw was Leo in sunglasses, Leo in waterfalls, Leo grinning next to her in some jungle-themed spa. Always him. Always that same eco-cool filter over everything. Then came the last straw. The Friday, she said she'd be filming nearby and staying with Sasha again. I didn't say a word this time. Instead, I waited until she left. Then I called Sasha. "Sasha." "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. "Is Kara still with you?" There was a pause on the other end. A long one. "Neil, I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything," she said carefully, "but I haven't seen Kara in weeks. I thought she was with you." This time, I didn't hang up. I just stood there, phone in hand, nodding like I'd expected it, because deep down, I think I had. It was a Saturday afternoon when everything broke. Raj had invited a few of us over to watch the F1 race. Nothing fancy, just some beers, a big screen, and a bunch of guys yelling at the TV like we knew what we were talking about. I needed the distraction. Kara was off somewhere, immersed in Leo's brand again, and I hadn't heard from her all day. We were halfway through the second lap when my phone buzzed. Not a call, not a text, an Instagram notification. "At Kara's age tagged you in a story." I almost ignored it. Figured it was another recycled reel of mountain views or slow-motion waterfalls. But something made me tap it anyway. And there it was. Kara, at a beach resort, hair done up in that loose, effortless way she usually reserved for special events. Her face glowed, all sun-kissed and filtered. She had one hand wrapped around a champagne flute. The other hand, her left hand, was resting lightly on a man's chest. Leo's chest. He was smiling too, shirt unbuttoned just enough to make it clear what kind of trip this really was. The caption? "Leveled up at Neil," tagging me, like I was in on it, like this was some kind of announcement. "Yo," Raj said beside me, glancing at my face. "What's up?" I didn't answer. I just stared at the screen, the image burning itself into my brain. Kara's hand, his chest, the champagne, the green heart emoji. Leveled up. It wasn't just a photo. It was a message. Public. Intentional. And with that tag, it was meant for me. I didn't say a word. I just took a screenshot, saved it to my phone, and put it on Do Not Disturb. Raj leaned closer, trying to peek. "Everything okay?" I passed him the phone. He whistled low. "Damn, man. I don't even know what this is," I said. "A joke? A mistake?" He shook his head. "She tagged you. That's not a mistake." We sat there for a minute while the race continued on without us. Engines roaring, people cheering, and I felt like I was standing in the middle of traffic, frozen. "You gonna call her?" he asked. I thought about it. I really did. But something inside me shifted in that moment. Some quiet gear that clicked into place. "No," I said. "I'm done reacting." Raj looked surprised. "You sure?" "She made it public," I said. "So I'll respond in kind." Quietly, I left Raj's place an hour later and drove straight to my office. I wasn't working, but I needed a neutral space. Somewhere Kara hadn't touched. Somewhere that still felt like mine. I pulled out the wedding binder. All the vendor contracts, receipts, and timelines, months of planning in one heavy folder. And I opened a new browser tab. First stop, my friend Lisa, who worked in family law. I texted her the screenshot. "Hey, long story. Can we talk about cancellation clauses? Need to know what I'm on the hook for." She replied within 5 minutes. "Damn, yeah, call me now." We went over everything, deposits, liability, what could and couldn't be recovered. She didn't pry about the photo, but I could hear the sympathy in her voice. And the quiet approval when I told her I didn't want to confront Kara. Not yet. I wanted to prepare first. By that night, I had a list of every vendor we'd paid. Venue, photographer, travel coordinator, floral designer, catering. Every name, every number, every balance. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger just yet, but I had the hammer cocked. Kara thought she could curate her public life like it was a story and tag me in as a character without permission. She thought I'd sit in the corner and wait for clarification. Wait for the real explanation. But I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. She said she leveled up. Fine, so would I. By Monday morning, I was done playing nice. I sent the screenshot to Kara's parents first. No message, no commentary, just the image, her hand on Leo's chest, the champagne, the caption with my name tagged like a brand partnership gone rogue. Within minutes, I saw the typing bubble from her mom, Janet, then the flood. Janet, what is this? Is this real? Grant, her dad, Neil? Please tell me this is a joke. I don't understand. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my inbox and started emailing every vendor we'd hired for the wedding. Subject line, wedding cancellation, urgent. Attachments, the screenshot, our contract receipts. I kept the message simple. Due to a recent personal development that breaches the spirit of our agreement, I am canceling the scheduled event. Please see attached image for context. I'd like to request any refunds or partial reimbursements per our agreement. Let me know next steps. One by one, I sent them out, the florist, the travel planner, the band, the photographer, even the guy who was supposed to do the custom welcome signs. Some replied immediately. Others needed time, but almost all of them said the same thing in their own way. I'm so sorry this happened. We understand. We'll do what we can. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I was just methodical. Around lunchtime, my phone lit up. Grant, calling. I stared at the screen for a moment, then answered. Hey, Neil, he said, sounding like someone had knocked the wind out of him. We just saw the photo. Please tell me there's a misunderstanding. There isn't. It's not what it looks like? No, Grant, I said quietly. It's exactly what it looks like. A pause. Then, she told us she was working with a client, not, he stopped himself. I don't know what to say. I don't even understand what she was thinking. She tagged me, I said. It wasn't just careless. It was intentional. He went quiet again. I sent the image to the venue too, I added. They were able to cancel with minimal penalty. I'm working through the rest. You're calling off the wedding? He asked, like the thought had only just occurred to him. I already did, I said. But, Neil, maybe talk to her first? Maybe it's just I'm not angry, I interrupted. I'm just making decisions based on the information Kara gave me. Publicly. She says it's marketing, he said, voice low, like you didn't believe it either. She told her mother it was some campaign thing, that the hand on Leo was for optics, viral appeal. You know, these influencer types. Do you believe that? I don't know, he admitted. But even if somehow, by some miracle, it's innocent, she didn't respect you enough to warn you, to explain it, to tell you she'd be pretending to be in a relationship with someone else on a public platform, while tagging you. She didn't pretend, I said. She posted the truth. I'm just responding. There was nothing left to say after that. I heard him sigh, heavy, defeated, and then we ended the call. By the end of the day, half the vendors had already agreed to issue partial refunds. The others needed another week or two, but it was in motion. The financial cleanup wasn't pretty, but it was better than the emotional disaster that would have followed a wedding built on that lie. Kara's phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts, no sudden appearances. But her family? They were in chaos. Her mom sent a string of messages that night. Janet, she swears it was a joke. Neil, please talk to her. She's upset. She's not herself. We're trying to understand too. Don't make any rash decisions. But the truth was, I wasn't making any rash decisions. I was making quiet ones. Decisive ones. Kara wanted to use her relationship as a performance. I was simply shutting off the lights on her stage. It was almost midnight when Kara finally called. My phone lit up with her name, Kara, fiancé, still saved that way, like some leftover lie I hadn't deleted yet. I let it ring twice before answering. Neil, she said, voice breathless like she'd been crying, or running, or both. Why would you send that photo to my parents? Because they're family, I said flatly. And because they deserve to know the wedding they're planning to attend is no longer happening. What are you talking about? She snapped. You can't just cancel everything over one photo. You didn't even talk to me. I didn't need to, I replied. You already made your message public. I just followed your lead. There was a beat of silence on the line. I could hear her breathing. It wasn't what it looked like, she said finally, quieter now. It was part of a campaign. A viral authenticity series. Leo thought it would drive engagement. You put your hand on his chest. It was posed, Neil. You toasted champagne together at a beach resort and tagged me. It was a metaphor, she said quickly. The caption, it was a joke. Leveled up like brand leveling. Strategy, not about us. I could feel my jaw tighten. So why lie about where you were? I asked. Why tell me you were at Sasha's when you were off with him? She didn't respond. Was that part of the brand strategy too? I didn't want to fight, she said, her voice trembling now. I knew you'd get weird about me being in the same place as him overnight. I wasn't weird about you working with him, I said. I was weird about you lying. Kara sniffled on the other end. I didn't mean for it to hurt you. It was supposed to be edgy. Honest. Leo said real intimacy sells. Real intimacy. I repeated. You're using our relationship for engagement metrics. No, I'm not. Neil, please. I messed up, okay? I should have told you. But this campaign, this is the biggest client I've ever had. And I was your fiancé, I said. Remember that? I still want to marry you, she said quickly. I'll take the post down. I'll talk to the brand team. I can fix this. I let the silence stretch. I'm not angry about the post, I said finally. I'm angry about what it revealed. Kara's voice dropped. What do you mean? You prioritized optics over respect, I said. You didn't warn me. You didn't apologize. You just managed it. Like I'm another piece of content to keep quiet while you level up. Neil, she whispered. Please don't do this. I wasn't thinking clearly. Leo pushes the boundaries sometimes, and I didn't want to lose the campaign. I didn't want to lose you either. You already did, I said, calm now. When you chose him over honesty. She started crying, real now. The gaslight was flickering out, and I think she knew it. I love you, she said. I don't want this to end. I believe you love what we had, I replied. But I don't think you respected it. She went quiet again. For once, she had no pitch, no spin, no filter. I'm hanging up now, I said. Please don't call again tonight. No, she said, her voice cracking. Please, just Neil, please. Can't we talk more? We just did, I said. And then I ended the call. The silence after was heavier than the conversation, but it felt honest. For the first time in weeks, it finally felt honest. Kara showed up the next morning. No warning, no text, just 3 quick knocks on my apartment door like she still had a key. I opened it to find her standing there in leggings and a hoodie. No makeup, her hair pulled back in a way I hadn't seen in months. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just deflated. Please don't shut the door, she said immediately, eyes red. I need to say this in person. I stepped aside without a word. Let her walk into what used to be our place, now stripped of her touches. No scented candles, no carefully curated mugs, no throw pillows with stitched quotes. I didn't come to fight, she said as she sat on the edge of the couch. I came to own it. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Go ahead. Kara nodded like she'd rehearsed this. You were right. I lied. Not because I didn't care, because I panicked. I knew if I told you where I really was, you'd pull away. And I was already so deep in it with Leo, with the campaign, with all the brand stuff. I couldn't figure out how to stop without losing everything. You didn't lose everything, I said. You just lost me. She flinched at that. I know. And I deserve that. I do. But I need you to understand, nothing happened between me and Leo. I raised an eyebrow. She rushed to explain. He flirted. Sure. He likes attention. But I never slept with him. I didn't kiss him. I didn't cheat. Not physically. I was just sucked into the world, the lifestyle. I got caught up. You emotionally cheated, I said quietly. Her eyes filled. I didn't mean to, but you did. Silence filled the room again, thick and tense. She wiped at her face, then reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small folder. I wrote up a statement withdrawing from the Leo contract, she said, laying it on the coffee table. I already sent notice to the agency. I'm stepping away. I told them it was a breach of my personal values. I looked down at the folder but didn't touch it. She kept going. And I'm taking time off. Therapy. Social media break. I'm going to rebuild. Not for you, for me. I nodded slowly. And I want to make this right. I'll pay for whatever non-refundable costs we lost. The floral deposit, the catering fee, I'll reimburse you. I can sell some things, figure it out. I don't want you carrying that on top of everything else. That part surprised me. It sounded real, not performative, not for likes or an apology post, just sincere. But it didn't change what I'd already decided. I appreciate that, I said. But this isn't about the money. She looked at me then, really looked, like she finally understood there was no way back. You're not going to change your mind, she said, barely above a whisper. No, I replied, because the issue isn't just the post. It's what you were willing to sacrifice for it. She nodded once, lips trembling. I should go, she said, standing slowly. I don't expect forgiveness, but thank you for listening. As she turned to leave, she paused at the door. For what it's worth, you didn't deserve any of this. I didn't reply. She let herself out, and I let her go. The door clicked shut, and with it, the last breath of the life I thought I was building. There were no fireworks, no dramatic speeches, just the sound of finality. I stood there for a long time after, alone in my quiet apartment, feeling the weight of something heavy and painful and necessary. Letting go doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it just comes with stillness and peace. By the following week, I had a spreadsheet open and the wedding binder closed for good. There was no more guessing, no more waiting to see what Kara would do next. She'd made her choices. Now I was making mine, not out of revenge, but out of clarity. I wasn't going to let someone else's crisis define my next chapter. I started with the vendors. I called each one personally, explained the situation briefly, no drama, no finger-pointing, just facts. I told them the wedding was off. I understood their policies, and I appreciated any help they could offer. To my surprise, most of them offered something: partial refunds, credits, even a few full cancellations. All in, I recovered about 70% of the total costs. Not bad, considering the emotional implosion behind it. I moved out of the apartment next. Kara and I had signed a lease together last fall, but with some legal help from my friend Lisa, I was able to break it without much penalty. She'd offered to move out, but I didn't want to stay. Too many memories in that space, her dance playlist echoing from the kitchen, her half-empty coffee mugs, the little stack of branded notebooks she kept by the couch. I found a small place across town. Simple, clean, mine. Moving in felt like hitting reset on a part of my life I didn't realize had been muted. I donated the registry gifts we'd already received: air fryers, towels, a Dutch oven, to a local shelter. Gave the wedding candles and decor boxes to a friend whose niece was getting married on a budget. Cutting ties didn't mean being bitter. It just meant being done. I started therapy the same week. It wasn't about the breakup, not entirely. It was about how easily I had let myself become second in my own life. How often I gave the benefit of the doubt when my gut was screaming otherwise. My therapist helped me unpack that. She didn't coddle, didn't sugarcoat, just listened, asked smart questions, and helped me name what I hadn't before. loss of trust, emotional self-abandonment, grief for a life that wasn't real. Sometimes, she said, we're not grieving the person. We're grieving the story we told ourselves about them. She was right. Kara's sister Elise called a few days after I moved. Neil, she said, voice careful. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I don't know what she was thinking. We all saw the post. My dad's still in shock. I know, I said. It's done. She regrets it, Elise added. She's been a mess. Keeps saying she ruined the best thing she ever had. She did, I said plainly. There was a pause. She says it didn't mean anything, Elise offered. Like that was supposed to help? That's the problem, I replied. It didn't mean anything to her, but it cost me everything. Later, Grant, Kara's dad, called again too. Neil, listen, he said, his voice tight. I know you've moved on, but I just want you to know. I still think of you as part of our family. You've always been the steady one. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just thanked him and let it sit. People keep trying to fix what can't be fixed. They want to believe betrayal can be undone with regret. But regret doesn't rebuild a foundation. It just highlights where it cracked. I didn't hate Kara. I wasn't even angry anymore. I just finally saw the truth. I'd been in love with someone who treated our commitment like content, and I wasn't going to be someone's brand asset ever again. This time, I chose me. Quietly, completely, without apology. 3 weeks after everything unraveled, I blocked Kara. Not out of spite, not even out of anger. I just needed space, real space, the kind that doesn't leave the door open for backpedaling or guilt-laced check-ins. I knew myself well enough to know I'd keep reading her messages if I didn't stop them altogether, and I was tired of living on the emotional leash she'd been tugging for months. So I hit block, then I hit breathe. The silence was beautiful. With the wedding canceled, the lease broken, and my calendar suddenly wide open, I started filling my time differently. I joined a climbing gym. It wasn't something I'd done before, but a coworker mentioned it offhand and I thought, why not? The first time I scaled a wall, my arms burned, my palms sweated, and I nearly fell halfway up, but I kept going. There was something pure about it. The focus, the forward motion, the small victories with each grip. Nobody cared what brand I wore or who I was dating. It was just me, gravity, and willpower. I started volunteering on weekends too. A friend connected me with a local community rebuilding group, small teams that renovated homes for families in need. I hadn't touched a hammer since college, but the smell of sawdust and the honest fatigue afterward felt like therapy. For once, my life didn't feel like a checklist. It felt like mine. After a couple of weeks, I dusted off my dating profile. Not to rebound, I wasn't ready for that, but to remind myself that possibility still existed. That Kara wasn't the final chapter, just a loud, flashy, ultimately hollow one. In therapy, I talked more than I expected, not just about her, but about me. About how I'd always been the reliable guy, the one who kept things running, kept things calm, kept things together. About how much of my identity had been tied to being chosen, and how I'd never really stopped to ask if I was choosing myself. And my therapist said something that stuck. There's a difference between controlling someone and having boundaries. You didn't try to control her, Neil. You just chose not to stay where you weren't respected. I nodded when she said it, but it hit me hours later, in the quiet, while brushing my teeth alone in my new apartment. That was the line Kara crossed. Not a mistake. Not a moment of poor judgment, but a pattern of placing image over intimacy. She never wanted a partner. She wanted a prop, and I stopped being willing to play the part. A week later, I recorded a short video for a vlog I'd once started during lockdown and abandoned after 3 posts. I didn't plan to post it. It was mostly for me. I sat on the floor of my living room, back against the wall, speaking into the lens. 3 weeks ago, I began. I was supposed to be finalizing honeymoon details. Today, I'm finalizing cancellation refunds and learning how to make pasta from scratch. I smiled, not bitter, just amused. I'm not here to bash anyone, I continued. But I do want to say this. When someone shows you who they are, not with their words, but with their priorities, believe them, especially when they tell the whole world at once. I paused, looking at the camera. She posted, leveled up, with a man who wasn't me, and tagged me in it. Another pause. This time I smiled wider, more sure of myself. Well, she was right. I did level up, just not the way she expected. The video ended there. I didn't post it. I didn't need to. Because the truth is, I wasn't looking for an audience anymore, just a mirror. And for the first time in a long time, the reflection was someone I recognized, someone who walked away, not because he gave up, but because he finally understood what he deserved. Quiet dignity, real love, and a life that didn't require a caption to feel meaningful.